So Lucy Molenke is a good friend of mine from Nairobi, Kenya, and I've worked with her for a number of years now. And she is a co-founder of the Indigenous Women's Biodiversity Network. And so when I first met Lucy, I'm not sure what country we were in. I think Brazil. I think we were in Brazil, and it was for a big United Nations meeting. And I got funded as a Pacific participant to come and share some of what we were experiencing here in Hawaii. And some of my mo'olelo was about GMOs in Hawaii, because for me, being from Kauai, we were seeing a lot of that impact on our land and in our community. So that was part of the story that I went to share in Brazil, and to learn how we can become a voice at this international level. And so Lucy, she started many years before me, but she quickly pulled me into the core group and said, hey, you gotta help me organize these women. And by then, her and another friend from Panama, her name is Florina Lopez, and this is back in 1998 when they first started the Women's Biodiversity Network. And they felt that it was, they saw a big need for having a voice for not only women in general, but for Indigenous women, to really be able to share our stories and to be visible at a global level. So thanks to their leadership, they've held this network together, and slowly we've been growing and adding on younger people. At the time I was young. Now she says I'm getting older, so we need younger people. And so as you can see, we try to pick some really young ones. So yeah, so that's kind of how we started to work together, and a lot of our interactions have been at global meetings that have happened around the world. And when I knew, when I knew that the IUCN meeting was going to be held here in Hawaii, I quickly wrote to her and said, hey, we need to fundraise a little bit, and we need to find some funding so that we can bring women to Hawaii. And I always wanted to host them here in Hawaii and let them see the beauty of our Aina here. And so luckily we were able to do that. And in the planning, I said, well, we gotta go to Mokuo Wai'anae. You know, you cannot come to Oahu and not see the beauty of our island, including Mokuo Wai'anae, which has become a big part of my life, especially because of our partnership. So we dedicated, we didn't even go to the convention center today, because I said, no, we gotta take our time and go malie out to the coast. You can see the beauty. And then luckily Paula had jumped in with us, and she had shared with us. We took them to the end of the road and tried to share some of the vahipana in the area, as well as some of the good food. So we went to Ma'o Farms. Our visit there was way too short, because they had so many questions when we left. And then we went to Kahumana Farms, and we had food. And we just ate a few hours ago, so they're like, you're always feeding us. I said, welcome to Hawaii. And finally, last but not least, is Polina. Polina is a Selkup woman from Central Siberia in Russia. And Polina has joined our network a number of years, so I've met her before. And you'll learn and see some beautiful pictures about her traditional knowledge projects in Russia, and even down to, she wasn't sure if she should show this one picture of them eating raw reindeer and all bloody. She's like, think I should show this? I was like, yeah, show them. We like that kind of pictures. But it's just really beautiful, because it's something very telling about their culture. And you know, she shared with us that eating the blood of the reindeer, they do that once a year, because just the nutrients that they get from it really helps them and it strengthens them. So, you know, just being respectful to her culture, I was like, yeah, show us the pictures. So I'd like to invite Polina Shulbaeva. Again, she's a Selkup. Oh yeah, we gotta put the microphone on. Selkup woman from Central Siberia in Russia. And I know she's gonna share a little bit more about this, but one thing I've learned about some of the indigenous peoples in Russia is that they have these informational centers. So she was real excited to come to the Ma'ili Learning Center. But when she saw how big it was, she said, oh, but my center is like this room over here. But she was just really excited to see like how all the babies are here for school and just learning more about that, because that has been one way that they can educate their people over here. Educate their people is through some of their information centers.
I have my note. I'm sorry, my English not so good like yours. It's not my native languages. Yes, my name is Polina Shulbaeva. I'm from indigenous people from Central Siberia. My full name, Apollinaria Alexandrovna Shulbaeva. It's very biggest, but yeah, but Polina is it okay. I'm Selkup. We are living here. It's north part of Siberia in the Arctic part. And this is map, it's very interesting because it's a map of indigenous peoples in Russia. Pink color, it's all Russians and another not indigenous peoples places. And another color, green, violet, and blue, and different. It's all indigenous places when indigenous live in Russia. But this is all territory, it's federal. In Russia, we have not land. We live here, it's our historical land, but not officially. We have 41 indigenous nations. It's Siberia, Arctic part of Russia and Far East, it's Kamchatka and Sakhalin. 41 indigenous nations with absolutely different type of cultural. My central, it's Central for Support of Indigenous Peoples of the North Siberia and Far East. I'm coordinator of work with conventional biological diversity and different work with protections, traditional knowledge, with nature and other. We have center for, our center have Russian Indigenous Training Center. We will do different type of work like capacity building training, practices practices with traditional knowledge from generation to young generation, from elders to youth. And we working with absolutely all indigenous, with men's, women's, elders, young, youth, with every. This is very interesting schema I want to show you. It's traditional knowledge. What is mean traditional knowledge? It's absolutely all. We can lost one type. If you lost one, you lost every. Because this is working only together. If we talk about biodiversity, we talk about spirituality, about agriculture, health, food, and every. And very important when you're talking with peoples in a local level on land, sometimes they not understand what is traditional knowledge. They use it every day, and they not understand how it's important. This is knowledge or practices. And we, it's what we work with women, how we can use and how we can transmit this knowledge for next generation. It's our one of the type of our work. It's work with issue on climate change, because in Arctic part and North part, it's very big influence and impact on climate change. This is a workshop for indigenous women's youth and in Moscow. It's this May. This is indigenous from different regions of Russia and from different native nations, indigenous nations of Russia. And this is Sami reindeers and different deers nations. Oh, I'm sorry. And mammals hunters and fishermen, different type of indigenous. Because I think you understand what is climate change in your territory. My territory is absolutely different. It's no spot, it's many ice, it's not so beautiful or so green territory. But my territory is very beautiful too, because I have many wetlands, many bears, many wolves, bears, you know, absolutely another world. For me, when I come into Hawaii, I said, Malia, it's like another planet for me. Oh my God. I was first 2 days, I'm seeing windows that was shocking. It's true. And on climate change, because climate change right now, it's big influence for reindeer herder. You know, our reindeer, it's 1,000 reindeers and one big family who migrate with 6 months in one way and 6 months in another. And sometimes it's very big surprise for this family when they go in and see some territory in an Arctic place with absolutely changes. 5 years ago, this was tundra, now this is lake. Or something else, you know. I don't remember, I'm sorry. It's in English, it's permafrost. It's a big problem right now with permafrost because our, in the Arctic place, all our villages stay in permafrost. And we have, climate change is very, how's it? In different places have different change. Some places without change, some places is +6 in the Arctic. +6 in the Arctic, it's catastrophe. It's permafrost is, we lost permafrost, it's melts. And all villages move in a, like a under lake or something else. It's, and it's very big catastrophe in the autumn. Because it's, you know, our territory have temperature like a -20, -30, -50 degrees Celsius, not Fahrenheit. It's another system. It's very cold. Yes. And it's a big, important issue for us. Another, it's elders, two elders in the Arctic that learning child for traditional knowledge. This is traditional knowledge on health and traditional medicine. How using different type of dry mushrooms or dry berries or traditional medicine. And this is traditional carving of reindeer leather. And without my dress, traditional, because it's very heavy. It's leather, and it's not for this country. Yes. It's very big part of our work. It's traditional, not only traditional connection between protection areas, but in traditional how we protect our knowledge in other knowledge. It's a child who working together. This old child, in our tradition, old child before before 7 maybe years old, learning together. After that, little bit separated. Girls with women's, boys with men's. But all our child learning one knowledge about how you connect between connect with reindeer, how you can use what you can use in this territory or this territory, traditional calendar and another, because in this territory, in this extremal measure, absolutely all have one rights, and men's and women's. It's what I want. This is very nice pictures because this is very happy children. They eating raw meat. It's was killed maybe 5 or 10 minutes ago. And it's very healthy for us. It's very important part of our culture. We're not eating this every day, not one time or year or 2 times in a year. Why? Because in the north part, you know, we have a polar day and polar night. Is it mean, what is polar day? 6 months day. What is polar night? 6 months night without sun. Is it mean no vitamins? We have not plants or something else. We needed some elements for our life. This is very important. When you're drinking blood and eating raw meat, and I said, Malia, my favorite food here, what I tasted, it was raw fish. It was amazing. We eating raw fish too, a lot of time, really. This is our children's. Deer for us, it's a basis of life. This is child, yes, it's one of the nomadic school. It's how I say it, men's with winter fishing, and men's learning these children's how to fish. The same doing women, but with girls in a chum. What you can cooked for every, and we one more. We have we did some project, and now we create some books about traditional food, Arctic food. Even it's Arctic. I mean, it's not using for you because we have another continent, but for Arctic it's very important. What is traditional food? And it's very interesting book with recipe, traditional recipe. How you can dry this fish, or how you can do in some flour and making fish bread, and very interesting book. This is one of our projects about salmon protection. This project very important for indigenous people of far east of Russia. It's Kamchatka, Sakhalin. I'm showing before. It's project not only about protection salmon. It's project about ceremony of salmon too, because for these peoples, salmon. It's all life. It's a languages, it's a food, it's a ceremony, it's absolutely all. It's all type of knowledge. And first, before we opened fish season, first of all, it's a ceremony. And this is what they do after. It's a dress, it's a fish skin. Full, absolutely fish skin. It's a special instrument, traditional instrument for fish skin, because it's very important that fish, you are not only eating. It's for Far East indigenous. It's all life. I said it's impossible. You can see this very. Quality, and it's maybe you can do this, and your next 5 generation can use this because it's very, very high quality. Yeah, and what is thank you.
Cute Johnny's babies. We love pictures of babies.
Oh, thank you.
And good food too. So we have till 7:20. So we have a few more minutes if anybody has questions or comments for Polina. Okay. Oh, we get one, and then we come back to you. Go ahead.
I was interested in knowing what happens to the villages where the come across the mountains. Like when the winter comes back again, do people move? Like how do people stay in the same place?
Yeah. If with permafrost, it's the biggest problem right now. But I know that in one place in Russia, I won't show the map. I'm sorry. Yeah, and this is living two indigenous peoples, and this boundary have big problem with permafrost. And peoples, they stay in this territory. They said, is it our traditional land? What we can do? If we go in for another place, how we can live? And some government from this part of Russia said, oh, you can go in and live in a city, we can buy for all of you some new houses in a city. And they said, what? I'm sorry, but it's impossible for all of us. It's, only 800 people live in this village. They said no, every said no, because does it mean we must kill all our reindeers? We must stop it all our traditional life. And what we will do in the city? Drinking alcohol? And they stay in this territory. Some peoples maybe migrated little, like some kilometers left or right, but staying, yes, nobody not going.
So you said that there are very little plants where you live, and especially during winter time, there's not a lot of people come along access to plants. So I'm just curious to know what the traditional medicine looks like for your community.
I'm sorry, I little bit listen.
So, because you mentioned that there's not a lot of plants, like especially during the winter time, and so what do you use for traditional medicine?
We using mild. This is liver and mild. Mild. I have this answer in English. It's bile.
Bile.
You know bile? Fish bile and deer bile. It's very expensive in China. And they buy in Russia, but we have this free because we live in this territory. Yes, we're using bile, we're using mushrooms, we're using berries. We have 3 months summer. 3 months for us, it's okay, because very short spring. It's like 3 weeks. After 3 weeks, no snow, every greens, you know. And for traditional medicine, we're using many wetland berries and wetlands herbs. Because is it our territory? We know absolutely all. When this I can eat, this can eat in some deers, this dogs, this is something, this is for my anti-pain, you know, this is for anti-tuberculosis or something else. We know this. Is it knowledge generation to generation, what we have from our elders. Bile? We're using bile antihistamine, you know?
Oh, antihistamine.
Yeah.
For breathing?
Yeah. And we're using Parasite. Because we eat many raw fish. Anti-parasite is it? It's but it's not dry. Dry bile it's using for like anti-tuberculosis because it's no spot. It's very cold. Anti-flu. But if it's fresh, you put from fish and drink this. It's anti-parasite, yeah. We have many different type of knowledge on medicine knowledge, of course. Yes?
What age do they pass away? Do they live like 120 or 80 or 90?
No. In Russian indigenous people have very short life. Yes, I don't know because it's very extreme territory. I know why. Yes, but sometimes in an Arctic place with absolutely clear territory, it's 80 or 90 years old. But sometimes when mining company, oil, gas company, we have diamond company, golden company, problem. In the Central Siberia we have chemical company. It's okay, it's maybe 40 or 50 years. It's very short, yes. Different type, big difference.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Oh.
So the elder picture that you showed, what is the name of what are they called? They're indigenous people, I know, but what are they called?
Nationality? Nationality?
Like
It's.
yourself.
I'm Selkup. Is it Nenets? Selkup. I'm asked. Yes, this is Nenets, and this is Chukotka. Chuk. Yeah, because we. I show you a map. We living like this. Oh, like this. And my people, and we are fishing. And we are reindeer because we have like this part, not like one small pieces. And all part of Arctic after polar cycle is reindeer herder. It's like from Sami to Chukotka. It's all reindeer herder. This is mammal hunter, fishery, fish river, and pastoralists. Thank you.
Thank you. I think she mentioned earlier too that there were 41 different indigenous groups. So yeah, that's a lot of different diversity. Thank you, Polina. And thank you to Dada as well as Yeshing.